Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Cash Miller, and welcome to Emerging Brands Franchises on the Rise, where we talk to up and coming businesses across the country that are in the franchising space. They are different business models. There are so many things you can do, in franchising. And today we've got a really unique story because it's a medical based franchise. There's a number of things, and I'll let the founder, Sam Tejada, explain it. It's called Liquid Vida. Sam, it's great to have you on. Tell us a bit about this business because you are fairly unique.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you having me on your show here. So Liquid Vida, exactly what you said. We're a health, wellness, prevention company, right? We focus on health, wellness, and also beauty. So we have these beautiful wellness centers that we've established, many throughout the United States. And what we focus on are 5 different divisions, which is our wellness side, where part of that wellness side is hormone optimization. We're doing comprehensive blood analysis, looking at people's micronutrients deficiencies, hormone imbalances they might have, things they might get exposed to, like toxins to environment and foods. We're looking at food sensitivity. Our ultimate goal on the wellness side is to make sure we're optimizing people's health, before it becomes a chronic health issue, right?
Right.
We also have our beauty division that we focus on, where a lot of people know some of these products like Botox and some of the fillers like lip fillers and, for lost volume. And then we have our sexual health division where we help both males and females with their sexual health as they age. And then we also have our regenerative medicine side. So our regenerative medicine side, we work with a lot of professional athletes. We work with a lot of people that have injuries where we use stem cell derived products for that. And then last but not least, our medical weight loss division. It's a big division. Everybody wants to be in good shape. Our medical weight loss, we use different type of modalities and also certain medications like peptides to help with the weight loss process. So ultimately, our goal is to, help people feel youthful, energetic, and in control of their health.
You've got a lot there. There's definitely a number of things. So my first question would be, as a franchise owner, is that like something where you're offering all of these things? Like, explain how the franchise model works for you guys. Like, if it's all inclusive, that you're able to do all of these things, or they're separated out. How do you structure it?
It is all inclusive of all of those things that I mentioned. And that is what we call the Vita journey. So ultimately, our goal is to have our clients to actually participate through all of those 5 different divisions. And that's how we're going to best optimize their health for longevity, vitality, and making sure people get their vigor back.
Hmm. Okay, so that makes sense. And then you guys you use physical locations for it. Describe, I guess, the Liquid Vita experience. If I was a customer, or a client, and I'm coming to, for my regular visits, kind of go through what it looks like from that consumer point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. So most people, they always come in with some particular need, regardless if it's for medical aesthetics, they want to get rid of some of those fine lines, right? Or it's someone who wants to lose weight, or someone who's just lacking in energy and they're trying to find out what's going on, right? So part of that journey starts there, addressing some of those topics of what those issues are that the individual's having. So when a new client comes into Liquid Vida, the first thing we do is listen. We listen to them, right? So part of that is doing a lifestyle assessment, seeing exactly how they live their day-to-day life, how they exercise, what they eat, what type of medical history they have. And then from there is listening to them of figuring out what type of goals they're trying to accomplish. Is it that they want more energy? Is it that they want to lose some weight? Is it that they're trying to build some lean mass? Is it that they're trying to enjoy some more time with their family and children? So those are the things that we're going to focus on. And then from there, we start to try to figure out what's going on and address the issues that are going on. How do we do that? We run certain diagnostics to figure that out. So part of the diagnostics we do, like if you went to your traditional medicine, or how some people know it as conventional medicine
Yeah.
doctor, usually they only test if you're symptomatic, right? So we're going to run a variety of different tests, diagnostic tests, before you're even sick. And this is what's called taking that proactive, preventative approach to your health and wellness. So what do those tests consist of? We're doing a DEXA scan and also an in-body scan, where we're looking at body composition analysis. We're looking at exactly what your body's made up of when it comes to your total weight. Instead of getting on a regular scale, we do the body composition analysis, and we can tell you how much out of that total weight is your lean mass, how much is subcutaneous fat, the adipose fat, which is more of the fluffy fat, and then most importantly, how much visceral fat you have, which is the fat that lines your organs, which if you have a high level of that, that's indicative of cardiovascular disease. So those are some of the initial tests, and then also a lot of the blood work that we do, which goes very, very deep into your overall health.
Okay, so just based on what you're describing and stuff, this does not sound inexpensive, to be able to do. So who is your typical clientele, and also like income level that you work with?
So that's great that you brought that up. And actually, if you went back about 10, 15 years ago, the wellness centers, the clinics that offered these type of services and modalities, it was only directly offered to some of the most affluent people on the globe.
Yeah.
And that was actually one of my goals to get into the industry, is actually to bring this to the masses. People that, blue collar workers, people that look like myself, right? People that need to do certain things to take care of their health. So what we've done is we've actually priced these things out where it is affordable for the regular person to be able to participate.
Well, what's your definition of affordable then?
Affordable, we do blood work for $125.
Oh, okay. Okay. So let's say I did the blood work, then what's that, based on some of the things that you already described, like what would that provide me or tell me out the gate? Because I assume it's kind of like, here's step one, let's do the blood work, let's see where you are. And then it's okay. Now that we know, we go to this, step two, right? Something along those lines.
Yeah. So with the blood work, most people says, wow, how are they charging so cheap for the blood work? Well, it's a diagnostic selling tool for the business, right? I don't care how healthy you are. Everyone has some kind of deficiency. Even myself, as a health and wellness expert, I could tell you that if we did my comprehensive blood analysis, there's going to be some kind of deficiency. So if my focus in being in the health and wellness space is to truly help people with their health, well, I got to make it, I have to make it easy enough for them to be able to figure out what's going on in their body, right? I'm not just going to offer something, a broad blanket of supplements where they just take stuff to supplement. That's what they call supplementation, just to supplement, right? So for me, instead of going ahead and charging a fee on top of what the lab charges me, I'm just a straight pass-through. Right.
Okay.
Other wellness centers back in the day, they'd charge $1,000 for that test, for that blood test. So for me, it's let's go ahead and look under the hood, see what your deficiencies are. And these are the different type of, based off the data that we collected from your body, right? Your blood.
Yeah.
These are the different services on how we're going to get you back to normal. We're going to optimize your health.
Okay. So let's kind of go to the next step. So there's some deficiencies, and then you say, okay, here's some of the things that we recommend you do. What can the cost be for some of those things?
Yeah, so it's a bit different depending, the deficiencies that the person has and what they're experiencing.
Yeah, sure.
So, we have services as cheap as $20, and we have services that are as expensive as $15,000. So It really depends. I would say the average ticket item, or should I say the average spend, is about $250, per visit. And, depending how often they're coming in, but per visit, the average spend is about $250.
Okay. So, and my assumption is insurance doesn't pick up this kind of thing, does it?
No insurance.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah, we wish, right? Even though we're probably, if you do these kinds of things, the idea is that down the road, you won't need the hospital visit.
Right.
So,
it's interesting you said that. I actually saw something today and I reposted it on my Instagram, and it said, if you don't make the time today for your wellness, you're going to be forced to make time later for your illness, right? Isn't
Yeah.
that crazy? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty.
but it's very true.
Yeah, it
A
is.
lot of people are not very good about taking care of their health. How big of a market is this from what you've seen?
So this industry is growing rapidly, and it's continuing to grow. I mean, especially post COVID. After COVID, people realized like, hey, you got to do something to take care of your health, because the people that were dropping stone cold dead were
Mhm.
people that were unhealthy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, people that had deficiencies in vitamin D, people that had breathing issues, people that were heavily obese. Those were the ones that were suffering the most. So people realized it opened up a lot of eyes that you have to do things to take care of your health.
Hmm. Yeah, so it's COVID made the market actually grow even more,
It did.
exponentially because, it there were a lot of people that ended up suffering, through that more so than, might have been necessary if more people took better care of themselves.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
The okay, so the facility itself. I'm curious if I was to walk into one, can you kind of describe like what's the size? What's that part of the experience going to be, like if I'm going in, am I going to see does it look like a doctor's office? Does it look more like a wellness spa type deal? I'm just trying to get a feel for it here.
Yeah, absolutely. So it does have more of like a wellness spa feel to it. We try to stay away from that typical clinical hospital setting,
Mm,
even though we still practice as so. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a very comfortable, welcoming environment, right? When you start thinking about how a urgent care or hospital is, you got people screaming, crying, people
yeah.
dying. That's the last thing you want to do to offer that fantastic experience through Liquid
Right.
Vida. So it's a very beautiful wellness spa type of feel.
Okay.
We put a lot of effort into our brand. Our brand consists of everything from all of your senses: the way it looks, the way it's going to feel, the way it smells. Right? Every Liquid Vida
Mm.
location has the same unique scent to it. White tea bamboo is the name of it.
Oh yeah.
And then we lay out the facilities. Our facilities are anywhere between 1,800 to 2,000 square feet. And we lay out the facilities strategically, depending, where the rooms are at, the IV lounge, the bathroom versus the lab, just to make it nice and comfortable with a good flow for the medical practitioners and the clients that come in.
Okay. So it's yeah. I mean, you're really trying to build up the comfort level of the guests, that are going to visit and make sure that, uh, it's kind of a take your mind off of it. You're there for your health. So you want it to be so that it is not clinical, which is really good. I mean, there's like the best offices are always ones that are as far away from that as possible.
Right.
Um, and how big are the facilities you say?
Anywhere between 1,800 to 2,000 square feet.
Okay. So not too hard to find as far as real estate. Those are kind of the sweet spot of things that you can,
Right.
you know, places you can find. Okay, so you've got that part going on. Now let's talk. Okay, the build out of such a facility. How long does it typically take? To be able to get up and running. And I'm also curious how large of a staff does a typical location have?
So building out the location, I wish there was a cookie cutter answer to that. I could tell you what my wish list is for that, but every city is obviously a little bit different. Some of these cities have building departments that they've contracted out to third party companies that are just
Hmm,
I could tell you war stories about that. But the but the typical build out of a facility, and this is without an expediter, you're looking about anywhere between 4 to 6 months to go through it.
it's not
Um,
too bad.
yeah, it's not too bad. Now, I've had facilities that have taken over a year. Where now we're getting attorneys involved and everything else. So it's
Hmm,
a little bit of a Mr. Hit. Ideal scenario is 4 to 6 months. That's our goal.
yeah.
Staff wise, we start off with an initial staff team of like about 5 to 6 people, and then
Okay.
from there it can build up. Including the part timers that work on the weekend days, that can build up to
Hmm.
about 10 to 11 individuals as the business ramps up.
Is this a 7 days a week type concept then?
Some locations are open 7 days a week. Once you open up that last day, that seventh day, it almost requires a whole new set of full-time staff. So that one, it takes a while to hit the financials that you need to be open 7 days a week. But as of right now, 6 days a week for
Okay.
most locations.
Okay. So the staffing requirements aren't too bad. So let's get into what it takes, like in two parts here, because in the case of who's the ideal franchise owner, because of the medical side to it, do you need to be a doctor or have a medical background? Is that, I would assume that's ideal, but maybe, but there's other people that could be, fit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's pros and cons to both sides. And this is me speaking as a franchisor. And even for the franchisee, because most doctors, people that have that medical background, a nurse practitioner, physician assistant, or physician, they're great medical practitioners, but most of them will tell you that they don't know business too well.
Yeah.
And truthfully, we've created the franchise system to help those type of individuals, because us as a franchisor, we can provide a lot of those tools and great ammunition for them to be successful, right? With all of the assets that we have. Now, when you bring a franchisee that has a strong, business background, that's a huge plus for us as the franchisor, because there's many times that I've brought franchisees on board that have a strong business background that I'm learning, from them.
Okay.
So, one of the things that I haven't ventured into as of yet, but I would love to down the line, is maybe finding a franchisee that it's usually that's two partners, right? A medical professional and a
Oh, yeah.
business person, and bring them on as one franchisee.
Yeah, you get the best of both worlds there.
Right.
Yeah, in a sense. Yeah, I could
As
totally
long,
see
as
one.
long as they get along with each other. That's
Yeah, right. Yeah, if they don't, then you're going to have a problem. But
yeah.
okay, so that makes sense. Now, for the staff itself, what kind of and for the franchisee, what kind of training do they need to go through, and how long does it take?
So we have our onboarding training that we put them through our own in-house certification, if you will, so they can learn the brand standards and how we function as a company, as Liquid Vida. But the type of training that's a prerequisite before even applying is specific to whatever technical skills is required for the particular job, right? So we
Hmm.
have medical practitioners that have to be, licensed in the specific state as a nurse practitioner, as a
Oh,
PA.
okay.
We have nurses that have to be licensed in that particular state, medical estheticians that do the facials, the peels, medical grade facials and peels, that have to have the paramedical aesthetics license to be able to do that. So one of the things that I tell people, especially franchise prospects that are looking into franchising a Liquid Vida franchise, is the difference between our franchise system versus a lot of other franchise systems that are out there that are, let's say, a frozen yogurt shop or a
Yeah.
quick burrito type of
Hmm.
restaurant, is that we provide careers, not jobs. So what happens at a
Yeah.
lot of these other places, these other franchises, you'll get the young guy who's in high school, who's going off to college, or the kid who's in college,
Yeah.
who's then, going off to the career. What we hire are people that went to school for this particular
Yeah.
career.
Okay. So you definitely have, very specific recruiting requirements of who can work at this type of business. You need to, you want to, this business falls into that category of, medical offices, dentists and all that, like people that are on career paths. So you have to also
Right.
consider that there's going to be, higher levels of compensation for those people compared to some other franchises. But hopefully you'll be able to put together, like you'll be able to, those employees will be more loyal because they say they're only going to have so many options, for them to be able to go. So if you treat them well, they'll stick around,
Yeah.
and help grow with the business and everything, so that's really good. So you've got to recruit people that already have their own certifications, and then you're going to train them, even further on the business itself and how to take care of the clientele.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so we have an understanding about what it's going to take, to get this thing up and running and the people you actually need and stuff. I'm curious to know too, because we talked about, who the typical, client is. How many, like in a fully run, like they've been around for a couple of years, just how many patients might you see, over the course of a month or a year or something? I'm just curious if you've figured out an average number.
So I'll give you an idea of how many new patients
Okay.
a few of our stores just here in South Florida see a month. These are new patients. This is
Yeah.
not returning patients, right?
Okay.
New patients, like our Fort Lauderdale store, sees approximately 300 new patients per month, right?
Wow.
So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, think about that. So and I would say for the most part, especially because we're taking care of someone's health, depending on what they're coming in for, retention rates are at the higher level. And then when you're looking at your LTV, your lifetime value of your patients over a 12-month period of time, a 24-month period of time,
Mhm.
it's there. It's definitely there.
Yeah. What kind of marketing do you have to do to get those patients in? Like what are you guys providing to the franchisee in the way of support? What do they need to do on their end? Because that's a significant number of people.
Yeah, so when it comes to marketing, there's a whole slew of things that have to be done on the marketing side. And when we talk about marketing, if I went back about 4 or 5 years ago, I'd tell people we're a marketing PR company first, a medical company second. Today, I actually tell people we're a software technology company first, marketing PR second, and medical third. And that doesn't diminish what we do efficacy wise on a medical standpoint, is that
Yeah.
without the first two, you don't have a business.
Yeah, right.
So content creation, getting on camera, getting your customers, user created content, getting on every single social media platform, investing into PR, getting into high domain authority publications so you can rank for SEO, having consistent writing, articles happening on a lot of these platforms, including your website, backlinking on some of these other websites directly to your website, having a podcast like we're on right now, it's
Yeah.
getting that consistent information. And part of that, when it comes to marketing, the first step that I always take is I tell people is you have to define the culture of the business. Like,
Mhm.
Liquid Vida has a certain culture, but truthfully, the only way to understand the culture that you're in is understanding who your customers are, because your customers is truly what builds the culture of your company. So, and then from there, you should actually structure that intimate message that's going to get people to congregate towards your business, right? You should structure your messaging once you understand the culture of the business.
Mm. Yeah. No, that's totally, you're preaching to the choir. I've run a digital marketing agency for years, so you do have to do all of those things. How much competition have you seen, that you compete with, especially, like when you're covering all of those things, whether you're trying to rank locally and you're doing social media, what are you running into as far as competitors?
There's a lot of people getting into the industry, but the strategy with competitors, especially people that are leading the industry with you, is you can't do it by yourself. One of the things when I first got into the industry is I decided to avoid going that cutthroat mentality against the competitors and
Mhm.
instead building strong relationships and working towards this common goal together, right? So
Yeah.
doing a lot of collaborative efforts with the competition, and I'm not saying disclosing proprietary information or sharing customers or anything like that,
Yeah.
but working together to get that message out there, I think is extremely important. I've done that. I launched my recent book called How to Win in Modern Wellness, and
Mm.
actually this book that I wrote, all of these are some of my top competitors throughout the
Oh,
nation
yeah.
that have a significant amount of more franchises than what I do. I got one guy here that sold 800 franchises, another one that sold 110, and another one that sold 250 franchises, and most of them are open. And
Wow.
what we've done is, we've actually have created an association. A lot of us are on the leadership board. I was
Hmm.
actually appointed the chairman of the association now in 2024, the first week of 2024.
Huh.
But the best example I could put out there is everybody knows music. Everybody knows music, regardless if you listen to rock, you listen to country, hip hop, whatever it is. You know that musicians always do some kind of collaboration with another
Oh,
musician,
sure.
and they
Yeah.
put music out there. And what that does, it allows each other to tap in to that industry even further, right?
Huh.
And business should be treated no differently, and I do it, and it works very successful. And it actually helps the competition continue to grow. It builds more awareness to the new services and modalities that have tapped in to our communities. So when it comes to competition, it's there, but you have to learn how to embrace your competitors and build strong relationships with them.
Yeah, and I would think that, for on the client side, they don't necessarily go shopping around. Like your competition is just going to be on the front end when somebody's doing a search for a center, or, somebody that can help them. But otherwise, like I say, I'm not going to go into one and say, "Hey, you do my blood work," and then I go into a different one and say, "Hey, do it again," and let me comparison shop.
Right. Now, yeah, you're not going to do that. But when it comes to the competition, everyone offers some similar services, but certain companies will have a different niche. They'll do
Hmm.
cryotherapy or infrared saunas, and they'll cold plunge. Some will do IVs, some will do medical aesthetics. So there isn't a one-stop shop in our industry. So you have to figure out what you're trying to get, what you're trying to accomplish, and figure out who's the reputable source to be able to
Yeah.
provide that.
Okay. I have a question. Because so I want to know if you consider this competition, because we got two things that popped up that I've noticed recently. I mean, one is like, of course, nationwide, global, whatever, these pharmaceutical companies that come out with these weight loss drugs that apparently are working really good, but some people have run into digestive problems, I know. So do you consider those competition? Do you think it has the potential to hurt the business down the road? And the other one is because you do the uh, like stamina, I guess, the sexual, piece of it. Yeah, I've seen commercials for like Hims and Hers and stuff. I don't know if you've seen those things yet, but
I have.
that's what they're, yeah, well, that's what they're covering is, ED and all that. So how do you feel about those kinds of things? Because those are, they're competition. They're just not, based around centers and stuff.
Right. I think they're both fantastic. I think they're building an enormous amount of awareness. Um, if I were to have to, well, I am going to comment on both. When it comes to the weight loss drugs like the Wegovy, which is also known as
Yeah.
semaglutide, or the Manjaro, which is known as tirzepatide, we are experts at actually providing that for our patients that come in for our weight loss programs.
Okay. So
So
you're able to prescribe it.
we do prescribe it, right?
Okay.
So it's
Got it.
very effective. So we are one of the providers that provide this type of treatment, but part of it is really understanding a lot of these initial diagnostics to really have a deeper dive of what's going on with your patient's health,
Hmm.
understanding the gut health, understanding their body composition. Where if we're trying to lose weight, we want to make sure we're losing fat, not muscle weight. So
Yeah.
part of that is making sure that you're running people through these certain tests to get a good
Okay.
baseline and then trend it as they go through that weight loss journey. There's companies out there, which we all know, that do a lot of the telemedicine and they don't even touch the patient. Got to be careful with that. With
Yeah.
the Hims and Hers, they have very effective treatments, right?
Hmm.
Now, ours, when it comes to like the sexual health, we're not just providing that little blue pill so it can increase blood flow when you're ready to get the erection. What
Yeah.
we're doing is we're taking a deeper dive to figure out why there's a blood flow issue, and let's try to
Yeah.
correct the vascular issue that's causing the blood flow problem, right? Would we use
Yeah.
certain stuff like the Viagra or the Cialis temporarily until we fix the underlying cause? Yeah, we'll do it, and we'll use other things that don't work on the cardiovascular system, like the PT141, which works through the central nervous system. You don't get the heartburn, you don't get the headache.
Mm.
But what we'll do is we'll actually utilize for like erectile dysfunction. We'll use a technology called Gainswave. So Gainswave, what it does, it utilizes low frequency shockwave therapy, right? They're basically waves that through the low frequency shockwave that will actually help uh, break up some of that plaque and calcium buildup in the vessels in the penile organ to
Huh.
allow blood flow to actually happen.
Got it. Well, now I've just had a quite the medical education. Thank you. on
Well,
how
you
that
see,
actually
there's a
works.
difference between the both. So when you have that
No, there is.
physical location, like our wellness centers, we're not just selling you something from an online commercial. If
Yeah,
you see one of
exactly.
our online commercials, it's for you to come in and really get an assessment so we could take care of your health.
Yeah, because the pill is a temporary fix. You're providing or able to provide a permanent fix, so you don't need to keep
Right.
taking the pill every time. That's the idea, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think that's great, and that's like I say that shows you the differences, because we've been, those pills have been advertised for decades now or whatever, and I think a lot of people don't realize that's why these centers, end up existing because they can help solve the actual problem. Yeah, and you're not necessarily going to your regular doctor who's not, going to be. They don't specialize in that, right? Your regular, general practitioner. So I think that's really good. And let's say you've got that variety of different things you often, offer, but they are all with the idea that we can improve your health, and your health
Right.
comes, in many kind of forms. There's more things to it, than you would think, and that we consider on a day-to-day basis.
Agreed.
So, well, this has been great. I mean, like, really had a quite the education. I think you guys got a great franchise opportunity. And I know you got some locations in Florida and Texas. Like, where are you guys like going next? I mean, what's the future look like here?
Well, yeah, we're building more locations in Texas. We actually broke ground in Dallas, Texas. Now we're in San Antonio already. We also have some locations in Arizona, Phoenix, and then we also have a handful of locations in New Jersey. We're tapping into New York. Obviously, we're also on the pharmacy side where we created the proprietary IV vitamin therapy product, and that we actually distribute to doctors in the wellness space all throughout the United States and all 50 states to be exact.
Mm.
So if you're looking for a Liquid Vida IV drip, those will be a little bit easier to find. We have over 4,000 doctors throughout the U.S. that provide that. But the actual wellness center, our goal is to further develop some of these territories where we're currently at. And then also doing some area representative agreements where we get some area developers to help develop some of these territories throughout the United States.
Yeah, well, so there's a lot of opportunity, and so you still have a lot of the country open, and you are getting into some of the best markets too at the same time. I think, like I say, I think you got a great, business model, and you certainly is you're always going to have people, that need these services, especially with an aging population. There's younger people too, because I know you got a beauty side to it. Take just a brief second to tell us, like, who are you typically working with there? Because, the ED stuff is all going to be an older group generally. But what about the beauty side? Who's the typical clientele?
So when we first got in 10 years ago, our typical clientele was 35 and up, mainly females. And then
Mm.
fast forward to today, our clientele, I mean, we got some parents that call over and says, hey, can my 16-year-old daughter come get Botox? No, it ain't happening. So, but what's happened is, a lot of the Kim Kardashians of the world and all the
Yeah.
stuff that happens on TV, it's motivating the younger generation to come in and get some of these aesthetic services. So
Mm.
our aesthetic services range from as young as 20 years old, where they're getting facials, peels, and
Okay.
you're getting some of they call it the baby Botox. We're seeing a lot more males come in and get the aesthetics, that
Mm.
want a little bit more of a pronounced jawline, or don't want to see the wrinkles. And you'll be surprised. Listen, man, I'm a retired fireman. You see my gear that I retired with right behind me.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
got a lot of the firefighters that come in and get it. You would never know, but they look 10 years younger. So it's a variety of individuals now. It's not just 35 and over women. Not now. You see it with everybody.
That's great. One of my favorite actors of all time is William Shatner, and he's like 87 years old. He looks like he's 65. Now I know what he's doing. I finally found his secret.
He's coming
Like,
to Liquid Vida, right?
yeah, he's going somewhere, but that,
Somewhere.
it's like, now we know how they're getting it done. It's Liquid Vida or somebody else, that's similar, because and it's not all surgery. That's the thing that, a lot of it
Yeah,
is just, it's more natural things, more things that are just, they're done as kind of
right.
applications, I guess, but they're not, we don't have to cut into you for everything. So I think,
Exactly.
yeah, I think what you guys are doing is great. It's a great business model and stuff. How would people, Sam, get a hold of you? How can they inquire about, owning a franchise if they're interested?
So they can find us online, liquidvida.com. You could just Google Liquid Vida and we'll pop up. Or you could just Google Sam Tejada and I'll pop up, right? So either find us there. If you want to follow some more of the information that I put out there on the company, you can find me on Instagram, and that my Instagram handle is Sammy, SAMMY _ Tejada, TEJADA.
Okay. Well, this has been another great episode of Emerging Brands Franchises on the Rise. We've been talking with Liquid Vida. Sam, it's been great having you on. You got a great business model. Love it. My name's Cash Miller. I'm the host. I'm also the CEO of Type Media Works. We do podcast production. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode.